An international student at Cornell University says he is facing effective deportation after being suspended from the school for a second time. For more details, we turn to 12 News' Daniel Curran, who heard from the student this afternoon. Daniel?
Yeah, that's right, Nicole. PhD student Mamadou Tol was suspended in April for taking part in the encampment that appeared on the school's art squad. Now, Tol says he has remained peaceful in his advocacy for the school to divest its alleged ties to the war in Gaza, but he is paying a steeper price for his latest suspension. Mamadou Tol has spent years fighting for the rights of Palestinians. Now, he has begun the fight for himself. The third-year international student at Cornell University was suspended by the school on Monday after taking part in pro-Palestinian demonstrations on campus the week prior. Tol says this suspension has led to an effective deportation from the country.
Then I was told to contact the Office of Global Learning, who's in charge of immigration, because I am on an F1 visa, and the minute I am withdrawn from classes or suspended, it triggers my inactive visa status, which will then mean that I'll have to leave the country promptly with no grace period.
Tol says he has appealed his suspension to the school's provost, which he believes is his only hope to stay on campus and in the U.S. He says he has remained peaceful in his protests to the school.
The fate of my future, I guess, is hanging in the balance right now. What I do know is I'm determined to fight and stay. I don't think I've done anything wrong. I don't think exercising your First Amendment right should be met with such extreme levels of repression, but that's where we're at now.
Tol's story has gained both local and national attention, both with mixed reactions.
Online has been terrible. The stuff I've seen, the racialized language, the frankly racist Islamophobic rhetoric it's got to a point where I changed my Twitter settings to only I can reply now because that's how bad it's getting.
Several student groups around campus have rallied around Tol and called for the rescindment of his suspension. Students have created petitions and held solidarity events to support their friend.
We had a rally yesterday for Mamadou Tol. There was about, 200 people there coming to support for him. We had multiple speakers ranging from undergraduate students to faculty to staff. Everyone was very out there and concerned for Mamadou.
Tol continues to fight for himself in what he claims has been an unfriendly setting for Muslim students like himself.
I think I'm being targeted in a hostile environment towards Muslims in this campus, has been since October the 7th. I think I'm being targeted due to my visibility and being outspoken, but it's unsurprising, and that continues.
Cornell is pushing back against Tol's claims he is being deported. In a statement provided to 12 News on Thursday, the Vice President for University Relations, Joel Molina, said, quote, "International students attending college in the U.S. on F1 visas are obligated to comply with federal requirements to maintain their visa status. These federal requirements include remaining enrolled as a full-time registered student. Universities are required by federal regulation to terminate the F1 status of any student who is not permitted to be enrolled due to disciplinary action. Any international student administratively withdrawn by Cornell pursuant to the Student Code of Conduct is urged to immediately review immigration guidelines and consult with experts. Universities can disallow enrollment and bar a student from campus, but do not have deportation powers." Now, Tol says he is still awaiting a response for the appeal that he filed for this suspension, and he says if it's rejected, he doesn't know where he's going, but says that he does have options. Live in Ithaca, Daniel Curran, 12 News, Tompkins County.